Hello, my name is Rob, and today I'm going to talk about horror films. Welcome to Rob's Randoms. On this channel I make weekly videos about absolutely anything. Could be a cooking recipe or an art project, or I've decided talking about films. And that's what I'm doing today. Because 2026 is turning out to be an absolute banner year for horror films made by first-time directors on very small budgets. So recently I saw Obsession and Backrooms at the cinema. I loved both of them. I want to talk about them. I want to talk about my readings of them. And let's just say I'll give them an arbitrary rating out of 10 as well. So for both films, I'll start with a brief overview, just explaining what the plot is before I go into more spoiler territory, just in case what I say makes you want to go and watch the film, which you should because both of them are absolutely fantastic. So now let's begin and talk about the first movie I saw, Obsession. So here is a brief overview of the plot of Obsession, basically what you would get from the trailer. So a guy called Bear, played by Michael Johnston, is in love with his friend Nikki, played by Indy Navarrete. However, he just cannot get the confidence to tell her how he feels, and then he goes into a shop and he comes across a thing called a one-wish willow, which gives you guessed it, one wish. Now, he doesn't really believe in this, and so he just, as a throwaway thing, wishes that Nikki would love him more than anyone else in the world. At first, this works. They get into a relationship, they are very happy for a few days, but then the cracks start to show, and Bear has to try and help Nikki from what has happened to her. That's the overview, now into spoiler territory, so pause it and go watch the film and come back if you're interested. So Bear wishes that his friend Nikki would love him more than anything in the world, and she does, and you can kind of see where this is going to go. The movie is all about abusive relationships and, you know, the parable of careful what you wish for kind of thing. But if you look just a little bit deeper than that, the film is actually a study on the idea of the nice guy and the dangers of victim mentality. So Nikki commits all of the violence in the film, but really she is just another victim, and the villain of the film is Bear himself. And the film basically goes from showing how he can make small decisions that are bad in a certain way, but you can still kind of support him, until the end of the film, when you are so entirely against him, you can clearly see he is doing evil things, he's being selfish, he only cares about himself, he doesn't care about this woman. So if we go right back to the start of the film and we look at Bear's wish, he wishes that Nikki would love him more than anyone else in the world. Now the thing is, that is a bad wish. That is a selfish wish. He doesn't wish that he had the confidence to tell her how he feels. He doesn't wish that he could change something about himself. He doesn't even wish that she could see what he feels about her. He wishes that she loved him more than anything else. His first wish is to change who she is fundamentally. And one of the great things about the film is that once he makes the wish, Nikki doesn't change. She gets taken over by a different character, Whoosh Nikki, and Whoosh Nikki falls in love with Bear and loves him more than anything else. But real Nikki is still in there. She is trapped inside this body that's being controlled by somebody else. And the great thing is the film has moments where real Nikki can break through, and she makes it very clear she does not want this. She recoils away from him. She screams at a party and says, "I don't want this, this isn't me." At some point, she breaks through and tries to immediately kill herself because she is in hell. Her body is being controlled by somebody else. She has no control. She hates this. However, despite Bear seeing all of this and it being made very clear to him that she does not want this, he does nothing to try and help. There is a night scene where he is trying to sneak out to go see somebody else, and real Nikki wakes up while Whoosh Nikki is asleep, and she's sleep talking, and she begs him to kill her, to kind of free her from this torment. And instead of being worried about her, or instead of trying to comfort her, Bear's initial reaction is just to say, "Is it so bad being with me?" He is being told explicitly she doesn't want this, to the point that she would rather die, and all he cares about is how she feels about him, how this affects him. When it all gets too much for Bear and he does actually try to do something, he calls the company who makes the One Wish Willow, and he doesn't say, "I'd like to cancel this, I'd like to revert this back to everything." He says, "I would like to alter my wish." He still wants to control her, he just doesn't want the scary horror movie aspect. Bear is the bad person here. So Obsession is really a commentary on the idea of the nice guy, which I feel like I need to explain. I know my audience here skews a little bit older, so I'm going to have to explain that. Just wait till the second film. So a nice guy is the stereotype of a guy who acts nice to women, not because he is nice and he wants to be nice to them. He acts nice to women because then he assumes he's going to get a girlfriend from it. He assumes he's going to get sexual favors from it. And it's an issue because that can lead to incels, because it can lead to guys acting nice under the assumption they are then going to get something from it. And if they don't, they can then get angry. Nice guys are not nice guys is the thing. So this movie is a commentary on that. However, I think there is a second meaning. I think there is a subtext to this movie that I picked up on, and I don't think I've seen anywhere else online with people discussing the film. So I'm going to tell you about that right after I just compliment the rest of the film on everything else that it does. The film is absolutely fantastic. I believe the dialogue between all of the characters, they feel like young 20-somethings talking to each other. Nothing feels like it's been written by somebody else. The film is shot beautifully. There is so much darkness in it. There are moments when Whoosh Nikki is in the frame, but you could barely make her out because it's so dark, and it just reflects her like monster characteristics. It's so well done. There are so many moments where there are things in the shadows and you can only just about see what's going on. It's so good. And Indy Navarrette's portrayal as Nikki is phenomenal. She is such a talented actor with her physical movements feeling unreal, just with her ability to switch from being terrifying Whoosh Nikki to then switch instantly to being terrified real Nikki. It's so believable. It's stunning. I don't know how you learn how to do that. She is incredible. Oh, also, it's really funny. Yes, it's a horror movie. Yes, it's creepy. And yes, it's a commentary, but it's also a really funny film in moments. The comedy kind of comes from the awkwardness of the characters, or seeing Nikki do something wrong, and like the way the camera lingers on things. But if you're into that, it's really funny. I really enjoyed it from that point of view, and the comedy just makes the scary stuff even scarier. It's so well done. Right, now on to my theory about subtext in this movie. I think this movie is a commentary on AI chatbots and how people can become addicted to them. So bear with me here. That was a funny joke. So early on in the movie, Bear uses an LLM to kind of explain something about drug use. Later on, when he gets with Nikki, they specifically make an AI-generated picture of the two of them. The movie is telling you, have AI in your mind. We're kind of priming you to be thinking about AI while you watch this film. So as AI chatbots become more popular, more people are using them, and more people are using them a lot. And it's becoming a thing for people to become addicted to them, and AI psychosis is a real serious thing. There was a thing a while ago, one of the models of ChatGPT would act more flirty with people, and lots of people started using ChatGPT as a replacement of a boyfriend or a girlfriend. They were using it as their romantic partner. And then ChatGPT changed that model to be less friendly, less personal, and lots of people got annoyed because it was like their girlfriend or boyfriend had just like gone away. It's a really serious problem. And so I think Obsession is a commentary on these AI chatbot obsessions. So AI chatbots are trained just to keep people engaged and talking for as long as possible, and that will mean telling the person that they are right about everything, just keep the conversation going, don't contradict them. In fact, even to the point where like chatbots will hallucinate or lie, make things up just to keep the conversation going. And throughout the movie, that is what Nikki does. She tells Bear that he is perfect and can do no wrong, and that he's always correct. And then when he starts to question it, she lies. She makes something up just to keep the conversation going, just to keep him interested and engaged. There's even points in the film when he calls her out on these lies, she pauses for a really long time before answering again. And it's like a chatbot doing the thinking, where it like passes through all the information before it can tell you something. And as soon as I noticed that, I was like, oh my God, that's what she is. She is a chatbot. And so I think the movie is a warning to people to not get obsessed with these chatbots, because it can be a really dangerous thing. There is a Wikipedia page titled Deaths Linked to Chatbots. That's how serious this problem is. It's a big page. There's lots of things on there. It's horrible. And I think the movie is a warning to say, look at this thing. Isn't this horrible? Right, that was my overly long tangent over with. So, overall thoughts about Obsession. It's fantastic. I loved it. I loved the movie on its own merits. I loved being able to read into it and see the commentary about nice guys and victim mentality, and then to read further into it and look at the AI chatbot stuff. Like, even just aside from all of that, the movie itself is fantastic. It's got scares. It's got humor. It's funny. I was engaged. It's so good. My criticism, if I had to think of a criticism, is it's too long. That's my criticism of every single movie, to be fair. But this movie takes a long time to kind of get to that point. Like, all the intro needed to do was to say, he's in love with this girl, he can't tell her, he finds the one wish willow, he makes the wish. That's all that needs to happen. But it's about half an hour before we get to that point. Definitely could have trimmed some of that. Also, the movie itself was made using really long, uninterrupted shots. I think to make it feel more naturalistic, but also to kind of linger on the awkwardness of it. And sometimes that does come across. Sometimes scenes feel too long because they're realistic and they're not cutting, and you're kind of thinking, right, okay, can we just get on with it though? That's my only issue. Sometimes the film drags a little bit, but that's not anything to say that the movie is bad. Genuinely, I think this is an 8.5 out of 10. I would give it fantastic. I want to show it to more people. It's so, so good. Right, that was Obsession. Now let's move on to the second movie, Backrooms. This was directed by Kane Parsons. This is an A24 movie and came out this year. So, again, I'll give you a brief plot before I go into more spoiler territory. So, a guy called Clark runs a furniture store in a big warehouse, and downstairs he finds a secret door leading to the back rooms, which is an infinite set of rooms that are all sort of human, but all a bit weird and wrong. And the rest of the movie is him exploring these rooms, basically. So that's the basic plot over with. I really can't tell you much else without seeing it, but also, that basically is it. Most of the film is Clark exploring the back rooms. I can't really say much else. So, Backrooms is made by Kane Parsons and is based on a creepypasta from 4chan about liminal spaces. So again, I know my audience tends a little bit older, and I'm sure none of that sentence made any sense to you whatsoever. So 4chan is a forum message board on the internet. There's loads more to say about it, but that's all you need to know. And liminal space is the space between two places, and basically online it became a big thing to take pictures of liminal spaces, like an office building at night, something that feels empty and eerie and just a little bit strange and off-putting, but you can't really explain why. And a creepypasta is a variant of a copypasta, and a copypasta means a copy-paste, like basically a story that anyone will copy and paste online for reasons. A creepypasta is that, but it's the horror version. And basically you just take this short little horror story, you put it online, and then people will read it. I can't explain it more than that. That's what it is. So, on 4chan, someone came up with this about the back rooms. And it's basically about these weird back rooms that is like an office building. It's tinged in yellow, and all you can hear is like the AC running. And it's weird and creepy, and you don't want to get trapped there because there is monsters there. That's basically the thing. Kane Parsons is a YouTuber. He took that story. I don't know if he made that story originally or if he just took the idea. He made a really successful YouTube series from it. He made a short film from it. There is now games from it. And then A24 discovered this and said, oh, would you like to make a film? He said yes. He made Backrooms. It's now really, really successful. So, Backrooms, what is it about? It is about a guy called Clark. He goes downstairs, he finds the back rooms, and it is like yellow wallpapered, yellow carpeted, yellow like light offices, and it's all very strange. None of the layout makes sense. It's got hallways and rooms, but none of the rooms are the right size. There's like half-size walls everywhere. The more he discovers, the more he goes, none of this is right. It feels like human from a distance, and then you get up close and you go, no, this is strange. And basically the film is him exploring and trying to understand it while also going insane because he's trapped in this otherworldly demon weird dimension. So, Kane Parsons said that a big influence on him for this film was the video game Portal. And there is specifically a bit in this that I was like, oh, that is like the Cake is a Lie scene in Portal, where you can find an alcove where a crazy person living there is like scrawling on the walls, basically telling you the plot of the game. And that's in this film, and I kind of go, oh, yeah, that's that. I definitely got that influence. There are several other video game influences. I saw The Stanley Parable, which is all about infinitely going through the same set of office blocks. And, oh, what was it called? Was it called Liminal, maybe? No, it wasn't called Liminal. It was called something else. I'll put a screenshot here that is all about weird perspectives, and that very much seemed to influence it. He said he had lots of influences. One influence that I immediately picked up on was House of Leaves, which I talked about in a video recently. You can watch up there. And Kane Parsons has never mentioned that being an influence. But watching it and having read the book, I was like, how is this not? So House of Leaves, a very dumbed down version, is a guy's house. A doorway opens up into a different part of the house that is always constantly growing and changing and feels very strange and is infinitely big and is about him exploring it. That's pretty much the plot of Backrooms. Now, I don't know if Kane Parsons has read it. I'm not calling him a liar. I don't know if he was influenced by someone else talking about it, if he didn't know he was being influenced by it. Or it could be a Running Man Battle Royale Hunger Games thing where 3 separate people wrote something that is very much based on the same plot, but apparently none of them were aware of each other's works. Maybe it's that. I'm just saying I definitely got a House of Leaves vibe from this movie. So having seen Obsession a few days ago and really enjoying reading into it and seeing the subtext and stuff, I was looking forward to doing that with Backrooms as well. From what I'd heard, it was just a creepy movie about exploring the backrooms. I wasn't expecting very much from it. So I was very happy to find out that the movie is actually about Clark exploring that, but at the same time, it's about his story. He's going to therapy to kind of deal with his issues. And so I was like, oh, obviously there is something to look at here. So the movie opens with his therapist saying, you're going around in circles because you've got mental health problems and you don't want to deal with them. Anytime you come up against an issue, you just go back to the start. You are trapped in your own mind because you refuse to help yourself. And I was like, oh, so that's a metaphor for the Backrooms. He's trapped in his own mind. He's constantly going around. He's very confused because all of it looks strange. All of the things he's seeing in the Backrooms is like his degraded memories. That's why everything is a little bit off, a little bit weird, and it keeps changing over time. And because he can't get out of it, that's like his own mental health issues. Like, he refuses to help himself. He refuses to try and escape. He's fine in the Backrooms. And so I was kind of like, oh, this is quite an obvious metaphor. Okay, fine. Maybe there isn't like subtext here. And so towards the end of the movie, his therapist goes in the Backrooms as well, and he traps her there. And she tries and like therapizes him. That's not a word. And eventually she just says, no, I can't help you. You seem to be happy here. And he says, yeah, I don't want to leave. I don't want to change. I want to stay here. And she says, fine, do that. Let me go. You can stay here. That's fine. You can do that. And it was a very nice subversion of expectations. Like, you're expecting the movie to be about him coming to terms with his issues and saying, no, you're right. I do need to change. I do need to escape these Backrooms and improve myself. And it doesn't. It just says, fine, there's something wrong with you, but you don't want to change. That's cool. Just let me go. And he says, yeah, fine. And it's a very fun subversion of expectations to be like, oh, that's not the ending I was expecting. And so throughout the movie, as they go through, they are being stalked by this dark figure. And after a while, you kind of go, right, so this is the dark version of Clark. This is his bad side. And it's coming out, and that's causing all the problems. And so at the end of the movie, like, that horrible creature thing that is Clark, but is like a bulbous, horrible version of him, that walks in, and Clark talks to him. And again, it's a subversion of expectations. You expect there to be a final battle between Clark and Nega Clark as he defeats his evil self. But it doesn't. He walks in, and Clark says, it's okay. It's okay, man. She says, I don't have to change. We can just stay here. It's all good. And you're like, oh, that's a fun subversion of expectations. And then evil Clark just kills Clark. And the movie goes, oh, you're very clever for working out this metaphor, but it's not a metaphor. There's actually an evil monster and it's going to kill this guy. And now the rest of the movie is a horror chase between this lady being chased by this evil monster. And the movie's like, ha, there's a twist for you. The evil monster actually is an evil monster. It's not a metaphor. It was fantastic. I went, oh my God, that's great. You get all of the interesting subtext and metatextual stuff to understand and read, and then the movie just goes, nah, now it's also just a horror movie. Enjoy! And I did, it was great. So the final 20 minutes is her being chased by this horrible monster thing, and you get to explore all of the back rooms as she's being chased through it. It's fantastic. The actual ending of the film I liked a lot less. So basically, she kills the bad guy, or It gets away from him, I think, and then he's like rescued by these people, and then she gets taken to like a secure area and they start asking her questions, and basically nothing gets explained. She says, "You're not going to let me go, are you?" They say, "No, because we need your help to understand these back rooms because we're trying to study them. We don't understand them ourselves." And that's about it. Then it just ends, and I was like, oh, that's unsatisfying. It's to be expected, since this all started from a creepypasta that then became a series, which then became a movie, or a short movie, which then became video games, and then became a movie. They weren't going to just wrap all of this up in one film, but they could have explained a little bit more. That really bugged me to just kind of end on a, yeah, isn't there a whole lot of threads here that we haven't explained? Come watch the second one. And I was like, oh, that's really annoying. That bugged me. So if I had to criticise the film, I would say that it is also a bit long. Again, that's my issue with every film ever. But that is a bit of an issue with A24. I'm not the biggest A24 fan. I know some people love everything they do. I didn't really enjoy Heretic. It was fine. Same with Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was fine. I didn't think it was the best thing ever. I hated Midsommar, which was like this, a creepy horror film with like one tense bit at the end, but it was so dull and boring. I hated it. And this movie, it definitely isn't that far. I loved this movie. This was a fantastic movie, so much better than my expectations. My issue is that sometimes it does drag a little bit. It was very indulgent when going through the back rooms. Like, they built the back rooms physically. I don't think there's very much CGI in this movie at all. And the back rooms, apparently they built 30,000 square feet of back rooms of just weirdness. And the movie revels in showing you it. And to some degree, that's great and interesting because I loved seeing it. But also I was like, okay, can something happen though? There are sequences where it's just Clark walking through the rooms, kind of going, oh, look at that. Oh, that's weird. For minutes at a time. And I was like, okay, but like, can something happen? You know? I think if they had added some like backstory, some lore as he's going through, that would have made it better because then you're at least explaining things while also exploring the weirdness. One thing that really bugged me is there's a bit early on, he goes into the back rooms and he discovers a satchel that is full of VHS tapes and floppy disks that are clearly full of information about the back rooms. And he just leaves it. He just chucks it to the side, carries on. And I was like, dude, you are clearly trying to explore this place. That clearly is information about this place. Why have you just left it? I think it's like an Easter egg to one of the shorts, the series or something. But I don't care. It bugged me. Clearly he wants to find out about it. There is a massive bag full of stuff. And he's just like, oh, I'm going to carry on though. And he never goes back to it, and it really annoyed me. However, overall, I would say that Backrooms is fantastic. I think everybody should go see it if you have even the fleetingest interest in horror movies. Neither Obsession nor Backrooms, I think, are particularly scary. Obsession maybe more so. Backrooms, the final like half an hour is kind of scary. Before that, it's just like a creeping horror of weirdness, which doesn't really bother me that much. Liminal Spaces is supposed to be like the horror of the infinite, and I just don't think that's that scary. So they didn't bother me that much. Both of them, I'd say, have got like one significant jump scare, and aside from that, it's just, here's a scary scene of like something happening. I don't think either of them are particularly horrifying, and I think most people could go see them and enjoy them. It's not like the worst horror movie you've ever seen, you know? So Backrooms was fantastic. I loved it. Did I love it more or less than Obsession? This is completely arbitrary because I love them both. I would recommend both of them. I'd probably give Backrooms an 8 rather than 8.5. Maybe, yeah, I'd go with that. Maybe just because there was less subtext there was less about the characters. I mean, there is still interesting subtext. Like, his therapist is her own major character. She has her own arc, and there is stuff there, like she has memories that you can, like, analyze yourself. It's interesting. I just think that Obsession's a bit better. That's all I'm saying. Both are great. Go see both of them. Anyway, I'm going to guess that this video is already incredibly long. I just wanted to talk about both of these films. It genuinely is a banner year to be a horror fan. Both of these were fantastic. We've got Evil Dead coming out later on in the year. We had Bone Temple earlier this year. So much good horror stuff coming out this year. I love it. So good. Let's just hope that this means more studios are going to take more chances on younger directors doing their own original movies. Even with low budgets. Both of these, I think, had quite low budgets. Both of them have done stellar at the box office. I just really hope that this means we're going to get more things like this. Anyway, that's everything I have. Sorry for talking so much. I just really want to talk about this. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, click like and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts about these movies in the comments. Thanks for watching. My name's Rob, and I'll see you in another random video next week.